People are saying they were unhappy with the way things are going in the country, economically, the border, crime. They want Trump to fix it. There were a significant number of voters who would say, when hearing the most extreme things Trump is talking about, we got through the first term and none of these things happened. So 11% of voters who said Trump was too extreme voted for him. That is the bet they are making.
We have a colloquialism. It's FAFO. I'm going to let people Google that, right? And you're going to find out in the first 6 months of what that chaos was.
Well, I'd say that's pretty accurate. America f***ed around, and we're about to find out. Bakari Sellers nails it right there. And all we can do is adjust to this new reality. Donald Trump won re-election and is going to be the next president of the United States. I was holding out until just a couple hours ago when Alaska was granted to him. Even though he already had enough electoral college votes, I was hoping that somehow, I don't know, math doesn't work how numbers work, and math maybe was broken. But nope, he won it, and he won it by a lot. It's pretty much a landslide. So what can we take from this? Well, let's dive into it. I'm Ben Gleib for Rebel HQ. You can subscribe to my podcast, Last Week on Earth, where I summarize the world each week, and this week's going to be a good one. But no story obviously more important to figure out than this. People are stunned. People are shocked. They are saddened. And then many more people are pretty happy that Trump won, because he won the popular vote. So at least from the voting public, we know exactly what America wanted. And I think to write this off to just racism and sexism is not accurate. I think that's part of it. I think America probably was not super comfortable voting for a black woman. We haven't had a woman president. America seems uncomfortable still with that. That's ridiculous. That's sad, but it seems to be partly the case. But that's not really what you heard out there overall. The prevailing message wasn't, I can't vote for a woman or a black woman. The prevailing message was that people felt the economy is not in a good place. Their pocketbooks are not as good as they were. People felt like the far left agenda has been defining the Democratic Party at large for too long, and I think that has been an issue. I think the Democratic Party has been pulled to whatever very far extreme fringe opinion on the far left becomes then the orthodoxy of the party for fear of offending people, for the good-hearted intention to be inclusive. We sometimes go too far and we don't make strategic choices that can win elections. And what happens then is that every marginalized group, every person you're trying not to offend by including them in your tent, which again is kind-hearted, ends up just then losing elections. And the country swings so far back into the past that life for all of those marginalized groups get much harder. So what you have to do is ask yourself, is it more important to be polite or to win? Is it more important to sometimes have slightly slower progress, but to make sure that path of progress continues forward without such backslides? I think it is. Obviously, there's a lot of reasons that this went down, and we're still unpacking all of the data. I think a very large one is that Joe Biden us. Joe Biden us real hard. He should have honored his basically promise to be a transitional candidate and run just one term.
We are the most powerful and prosperous nation in the world. This country is winning. So I want to know why so many people in this country are feeling like we're losing. We've accepted a narrative that despite an actually great economic recovery, the vibes don't feel good. So we want to reject it and get something else. And the person we are now betting on to change all of it is Donald Trump, a man who did two almost impossible things. He won the American presidency twice, and he drove a casino into the ground. What will the future hold now that America has just decided that we're going to F around and find out?
But he got in there, and the power was too sweet. And even with a mind that had quickly gone, he decided, I'm going to go again. And he left Kamala Harris, who I think overall ran a strong campaign as a performance, as a person who was thrown into the fire. She did a good job at presenting as a strong leader, as somebody who I think would be capable and compassionate and kind and strong, considering how little time she had. But unfortunately, she didn't have the time to develop a true vision, a true detailed message. Donald Trump, however abhorrent so many of his policies are, they're specific, they are an action plan, and when people are feeling like their backs are against the wall, they want action. And so Trump says things, again, that I think are terrible, but at least they're actionable. I'm going to put tariffs on China, okay, I'm going to deport 14 million people, all right, and people think that I'm going to end the wars instantly, And humanity is drawn to strongman leaders. They are drawn to people who tell them they are going to save them. And specifics really make a difference. I think Kamala really hurt herself when she couldn't differentiate what she would do differently than Joe Biden. And the answer to say, I'm a different person bringing my own different life experience to the table is a ridiculous answer to anybody with a brain. Doesn't work. The fact that she didn't do Joe Rogan, and Waltz didn't do Joe Rogan because she was afraid to sit down for a 3-hour interview when Trump did, is a problem. If Trump, in his early stages of senility, with his rambling weaves, can talk for 3 hours, so should Kamala Harris be able to do. Trump did all of the podcasts of the bro culture that ended up, I think, making a difference. Kamala didn't do that. She went traditional media, even though no one's watching traditional media anymore. So what's the purpose? She gave one of the great debate performances ever, but did it move the needle? Clearly it did not. She crushed Trump in the debate. What did it do? Nothing. That's the debate when Trump said, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats of the people that live there. Totally made up, racist accusation. And that just became memes, and it became funny, and the context was lost, and it was turned into songs, and Trump almost seemed probably cooler for that racism. Not that, of course, the Democrats should ever embrace a racist tactic, not that they should ever embrace a tactic that hurts a group of people, but I'm just saying it needs to be more strategic. And on the flip side, the establishment in the middle of the party, the DNC, is just a completely corrupt, elitist, horrible organization. I know it personally from when I ran for president, and they would never even return my emails. I never got an email back even acknowledging my campaign. And obviously RFK complained that they crushed his candidacy and actually filed lawsuits to keep him off of ballots. And then another huge mistake is Kamala Harris's campaign did not even return RFK's call when he was considering dropping out and going either to Trump or Kamala. Well, look how that could have affected the election. Whatever percentage of support he had, and it was a significant percentage, could have been hers. And instead of making the tent to include potential actual voters, people who in this election who were polling with real numbers, they didn't want to even take the phone call. And that's a gigantic problem. So I've been spending the last 36 hours or so trying to put a positive spin on this, trying to be hopeful. And I am hopeful. I'm an optimistic person by nature. I hope that maybe having won a second time now and maybe hopefully not facing another election in the future, Trump won't follow through as much on his horrible fascist claims, on his horrible repressive ideas, on his stated ideas and desires to take people's freedoms and rights away, to exact revenge on his enemies. These are literally the things that come with the person that was elected. But I think it's a real mistake for Democrats to think that's why he was elected. There's not a lot of people signing up to vote for him because they are actively super excited to be racist and sexist or actively want to take people's freedoms away. It's the other things, like I mentioned. It's woke culture that I think just facts, if we want to look at it accurately and not just forget, not just, again, not learn lessons, turned off a lot of people in recent years when they don't feel like their pocketbooks and their bread and butter, kitchen table issues were being taken care of first. At the end of the day, we have one life, and people want to make sure they can pay for that life and take care of their families, and that's something that wasn't a high enough priority in the public's opinion for the Biden-Harris administration, and they want to feel safe as well. And Trump effectively made the case that immigrants are pouring into the border and scaring people and committing crimes, and Kamala wasn't able to effectively counter-argue that. So trying to put a positive spin, I just hope that the worst instincts of Trump are not realized. I hope we can come together, learn lessons from this, and work as best we can to fight back against Trump's worst impulses, to push back whenever our rights are challenged, whenever he tries to create a reality that weakens further our democracy, that weakens further the institutions that hold guardrails against somebody that now has been granted basically unlimited immunity by the Supreme Court. And we can just keep trying to adjust, learn, and revamp, overhaul how we look at the Democratic Party platform and try to adjust it in a way that can have a much more inclusive tint, that can bring more people into the fold and make them realize that we are not just caring about what seem to some as fringe social issues, but we're actually caring about all of them and their day-to-day lives. The Democrats used to easily be the party of the working person. The Democrats' positions are the party of the working person, but that gets lost when they effectively can paint the Democratic Party as out of touch with the common person. And so the Democrats need to regain that. They need to create a party platform moving forward that focuses on what is most important to the biggest number of people in this country. Because if you're trying to help the most people, You have to actually do that. You have to actually convince them you will do that as well. And the Democrats failed at that. And we're stuck now in a reality none of us expected or wanted for the next 4 years. And it's going to be a challenge. But if we actually learn the lesson, maybe in the long run, we'll end up better for it. Let's hope. I'm Ben Gleib for Rebel HQ. You can subscribe to my podcast Last Week on Earth and follow me on Instagram at Ben Gleib. Thanks. Let's hope tomorrow's a little better than today.